So I was in the process of making my other video about the New Japan and AEW collaboration, The Forbidden Door. But I guess I'll make that video later because while I was making that video, and I already recorded the audio for it, but while I was doing it, I thought about how much FTR sucks. So I figured I'd stop what I was doing and I would make another video instead called 25 Reasons Why FTR Sucks. I mean, let's be honest. I don't know why this thing just popped into my head, but for some reason I'm like, oh, FTR sucks. So I was like, all right, I need to make this video because it's worth saying, Cox. It's worth saying. So without further ado, let's get started. Put this piece, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Reason 1 why FTR sucks. All right. I mean, here's a freebie reason. Here's an honorable mention. Their name, FTR, is stupid, but let's not worry about that. Reason 1. They're hailed as the best tag team ever, and they're not. It's as simple as that. That's the first and primary and most important reason, in my opinion, right? If this team was considered to be a team on the level of, I don't know, Chad Gable and Otis, fine. Nothing wrong with that. You know, they are on that level, so that's fine. But they're considered to be this, like, best, like, people are saying that they might be the best tag team ever. Have you lost your minds? You know what I mean? Like, you cannot be the best tag team ever if you haven't done anything relevant in WWE. You're automatically disqualified. I don't care if you've won in the New Japan like tag titles 19 times. Doesn't matter. If you didn't do anything in WWE that matters in the tag team scene, right? Then you can never be the best tag team of all time. And what I mean is this: you have to either win a high-profile tag feud that culminates at WrestleMania, or defend in a high-profile tag feud at Mania, right? If you're not going to win the titles at Mania, you at least have to be part of classic matches. Like, for example, the Hardy Boys, not until recently, until their last run, did they win anything at WrestleMania, as far as I remember, right? But nevertheless, they've been part of significant WrestleMania matches that have had a bearing on tag team wrestling, right? The Dudley Boys, like the list goes on and on. You know what I'm saying, motherfuckers? The Edge and Christian, obviously, right? Reason number 2, they have no personality. All right, let's be real. These guys have zero personality. They come out, they're not horrible on the mic, but they have no personality. It's just they're talking for no reason. They're like, oh, we're the best tag team. It's like, all right, like they cut promos on the level of like Steve Blackman, right? That everyone would mock, but for some reason they're hailed as like great wrestlers. They don't say anything, you know? Reason number 3, they have stupid names. I mean, this is a personal favorite of your boy. Stupid names, motherfucks. Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler. Neither of those names are actual first names. Oh, Dax Shepard exists. Yeah, but he's fucking weird. Nobody cares about him. Point is, motherfucks, they have dumb names. All right, especially considering that their names are derivatives of their WWE names. Reason number 4, while they do have some good moves, I'm not going to lie, they got some good moves, right? Most of their moves are boring and like 80s moves, like vertical suplexes. You know what I mean? Like they do the vertical suplex like as a finishing move. They call it a brain buster, but it's a vertical suplex when the guy does it. Reason number 5, their association with Tully Blanchard is, and always will be a complete waste of time, and it adds nothing, right? I'm sick and tired of the AEW mentor model. I should do a video on that by itself, right? Everyone who's a mentor in AEW is not good enough to be a mentor. You know what I mean? Like, Tully Blanchard is not this legendary wrestler. I don't care if they present him as such. They're like, oh, Tully Blanchard is one of the best minds in wrestling history. No, he isn't. No, he is not at all one of the best minds. He's not one of the best wrestlers. He's like the 4th guy in the Horsemen, right? And the Horsemen are not like Evolution, where the 4th guy, like Batista, or is like a Hall of Famer. They're not like that, right? At all. You know what I'm saying? They're a stable built entirely around Ric Flair. It's like saying they're the 4th best in like Legado del Fantasma if one day like whatever Santos Escobar becomes like a Hall of Famer, right? Oh, it's Raul Mendoza. He's like the Raul Mendoza of a fucking, 4 Horsemen. He's like a complete nobody in the context of that stable. Anyways, reason number 6, their association with Pinnacle adds absolutely nothing. Pinnacle, to me, I always interpreted this as being like an attempt to give something to Shawn Spears to do. This guy has been completely mishandled by this company. I don't care what anyone says. He was presented as a big deal in the beginning, and now I haven't seen him wrestle on TV in like God knows how long, you know? And when he has, he like lost a squash match in like a second, you know? So let's be real, right? The Pinnacle sucks. It's been a complete waste of time. The Inner Circle is over, you know? The Pinnacle somehow still exists. They've done absolutely nothing. They've accomplished nothing in this entire run. They haven't won a title. They haven't won anything. I guess like FTR won the tag titles, but who cares about that, right? MJF has wrestled like, I think, 10 times. this year. Like, it feels like, right? He's wrestled like, he barely wrestles. This guy's like 25 and he wrestles the same schedule as like Sting. You know, whatever. But the Pinnacle sucks. And their association with the Pinnacle adds nothing. Reason number 7. The fact that the Pinnacle exists, in my opinion, is also an attempt to elevate FTR. What I mean by this is this. The implication that FTR is good enough to be in a prominent stable is preposterous, right? It doesn't make any sense. You know, it would be like if Triple H and Stone Cold had their faction in like the early 2000s and they got like Kai and Tai to be in there, you know? And by that logic, Kai and Tai is now like a legit tag team. No, motherfuckers, that's how it works. You know, they have no business being in any kind of like legit stable. Reason number 8. They're in AEW, and AEW sucks. Reason number 9. They're treated almost like real athletes. You know, this is a very strange reason. This is unique to FTR. Like, when people talk about FTR, they talk about them the same way they talk about, like, Zack Sabre Jr. and, like, Daniel Bryan, right? They talk about them as if they're these real athletes. You know, and this is not just, like, a modern phenomenon, because people would say the same thing about, like, Benoit, right, and Kurt Angle. But at least Kurt Angle is a real athlete. You know what I mean? Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar, they would say it about them. They're real athletes, right? But they'd say it about Bret Hart. They're like, oh, technical wrestling, right? It's not real. There's no such thing as technical wrestling, right? Zack Sabre Jr. is not better at doing the things that he does than Kenta, right? Or than anybody else. Or better than Mustafa Ali or Cedric Alexander. It's just that his style is, I'm going to twist your hand, right? Other people do that. Pete Dunne does that, and he's had some success in WWE. The point is, there's nothing technical about it. It's not like Zack Sabre Jr. or Daniel Bryan have this like awareness of how the body works and they can do these moves. No, it's fake. It's not real. You know? And FTR is treated the same way. People always talk about how they're like this excellent tag team. Like, nobody can point to a reason why they're a good tag team. Right? Why are they a good tag team? The only argument I can think of is they don't botch. But a lot of tag teams don't botch. You know what I mean? Like American Alpha from NXT basically never botched. You know what I mean? The Hardy Boys, when they botch, it's like they're like amazing moves that they do. Like, Jeff Hardy's going to eventually botch Whisper in the Wind once in a while, right? He's going to whiff on it. But like, it's easy not to botch when all you do is suplexes and headlocks. You know, so what's so great about them? The Dudley Boys never botched anything. Edge and Christian never botched anything. X-Pac and Road Dogg never botched anything. The New Age Outlaws never botched anything. So why are these guys better, you know? I don't understand. Even like Jurassic Express doesn't botch anything. The world is full of tag teams that don't botch, at least don't botch, as much as like any other tag team. So FTR is treated like that. Like, it's almost like all the other tag teams are like jokes. Like, for example, New Day, which is a very botchy tag team, I'll admit. Like, New Day is treated as this goofy tag team, you know, that's there for entertainment. And FTR, for some reason, even though they're the same thing, FTR is treated as this serious tag team of these two real wrestlers that really take tag team wrestling like seriously. What do you mean they take it seriously? The New Day takes it seriously too. You know, why is it that FTR takes it more seriously than everybody else? They're treated like I really hate this. This really bothers me. I don't mean to harp on this point, but it really bothers me when they have people like Daniel Bryan and they pretend that for some reason, because Daniel Bryan's moveset is boring, right, that if somehow he cares more about wrestling. You know, that's the underpinnings of this. They're like, oh, Daniel Bryan, he's a student of the game. Why? Because he does arm locks? You know what I mean? Why is he a student of the game and Britt Baker isn't? You know? Because Britt Baker tries to have a personality, right? Even though she does arm locks too. You know what I mean? For some reason, Daniel Bryan is a student of the game and he takes it seriously, but like Akira Tozawa doesn't. Why the hell not? You know? So it's the same thing with FTR. They're supposed to be this like serious tag team, and I hate that. I think it's bullshit, you know? Reason number 10. They did nothing in WWE, motherfucks. Nothing. Now, okay, fine. They won, like, their claim to fame is that they won the NXT, the SmackDown, and the Raw Tag Team Champions. This means completely nothing if all those runs are meaningless, right? They've had one run of each, and that's not impressive anymore. Because you have people like New Day who have like 15, like, they're like 15-time tag team champions. Like, Kofi Kingston, I think, might be the most decorated tag team wrestler in WWE history. He's like a 20-time tag team champion, it feels like. He's been tag team champions with CM Punk, Evan Bourne, with New Day like 1,000 times. You know what I mean? Like this guy's been tag team champions with like everybody. So my whole thing about this is that like being a one-time tag team champion is completely meaningless because in WWE, almost every tag team becomes tag team champion. It's like the women's title. It's like how many women are there in WWE that have not become women's champion? Like maybe like 3. You know, and it's like it's people like fucking Lacey Evans, who's been around for like a week and a half, you know, because she got pregnant, and she's gonna be a women's champion one day. But every woman is a women's champion. You know, and every tag team largely becomes tag team champions. Yeah, there are some exceptions. All the vaudevillains never became tag team champions. Yeah, there are some exceptions. But it's very, very rare for a tag team to not become tag team champions. Hell, it's very, very rare. Like, we've had tag team champions, like, you know, the guy, I forget his name, from Alpha Academy, not Chad Gable, but the other guy, Kurt Angle's fake son. Him and Seth Rollins were tag team champions. You know, like, you can have, like, made up tag teams become tag team champions. So being a one-time SmackDown or Raw tag team champion means nothing. The point is, their runs as SmackDown or Raw tag team champions were completely unmemorable. Right? They won the titles on like a throwaway episode of SmackDown probably and lost it 2 weeks later on another throwaway episode of SmackDown. You know, it's not meaningful. Right? So they haven't accomplished anything in WWE. They debuted. One of them was injured and was out for like 8 months. Then he comes back. The other one gets injured for 8 months. And they're not good enough to like put on TV if one of them is injured. They're just not good enough. Like neither one of these guys is good enough to like be on their own. Right? Which, in my opinion, speaks volumes about how good they actually are. You know, versus like Dante Martin, for example. His brother is injured for like 8 months, and this guy's having like a singles career all of a sudden up in this piece. You know, reason number 11. For some reason, this is a very strange reason and it pisses me off, but for some reason, their indie push, the indie push of FTR has gone on for a lot longer than it typically does. What I mean by indie push is this. You have a tag team in the indies that's just labeled a good tag team because they win the tag team titles in their bullshit D-level promotion, right? So I can give you guys a few examples up in this piece. You know what I'm saying? You have tag teams like Red Dragon, right? They were considered the best tag team of all time when they were like ROH tag team champions, right? You have teams like, now you have the Guerrillas of Destiny, which is fucking Tama Tonga, like the only Samoan or Tongan ever to not go to WWE ever, right? And Camacho, remember Camacho with Unico? Camacho and him are now, people are saying they're the best tag team ever. They're fucking not. They're a jobber tag team. Then you have the Good Brothers. You know, they're supposed to be this great tag team, right? The Good Brothers are a great example because they're a tag team that was eventually signed to WWE, right? And they were pushed significantly. They were put on Raw immediately, right? But it's like, it was clear they weren't good enough. Even they became two-time tag team champions in WWE, but it was clear that they were not good enough as a tag team, right? But they're presented as, like, they get this indie push, right? They're like, oh my God, it's Gallows and Anderson. They're like the best tag team in the world, you know? And then before you know it, they're getting their ass beat in like a pumpkin match by like Lucha House Party, you know what I mean? Like, they're completely irrelevant. Nobody cares about them at all. So that's what I'm saying, right? And I would have expected the indie push of FTR to fade, you know, by now, because to me it's evident that they're not good. But it continues. So here we are. That pisses me off. Reason 12. Their good matches, which I believe all happen in NXT, their good matches were almost entirely a product of the other teams. You know, they've had some great matches. I'm not going to lie. They've had some great matches and they've contributed to those great matches. I'm not going to say that it was all the other teams. But let's be real, right? You would have like a team like American Alpha, two like super athletes with a gimmick, right? They were like way better than FTR. And FTR was just there to like take their moves. Because nobody wants to see Dash Dawson, or whatever the hell his name was, do a vertical suplex. I'd rather see, whatever, the black guy from American Alpha, again, I forget his name, Jason Jordan, there, I think. Jason Jordan. Like, I'd rather have him do belly-to-belly suplexes on everybody. You know that movie he did where he would run to the corner and do like a shoulder thrust to the corner, and then follow it up with like a belly-to-belly? That was badass. Their finishing move was badass. They were an awesome tag team. Then you also had like AOP. AOP was awesome, you know? AOP, in my opinion, one of the best tag teams to never get a chance. AOP was fucking tight. They were like lifting people, throwing them, you know? That ladder match they had against DIY, you know? DIY is another tag team that like helped them out, right? So it's all these other tag teams that are better than them that really push them forward. I don't know why FTR ever became like, you know, the good tag team. I don't understand why. It is what it is. But their good matches, in my opinion, mostly attributed to the other teams. Reason 13, their AEW run has been predictable and boring, right? Everybody knew what their AEW run would look like, right? They would come in, they would become tag team champions, then eventually they would drop the tag team titles to another tag team, right? It doesn't matter if it's going to be the Young Bucks or Jurassic Express. The point is, they're going to have their title run, and they're going to lose to like the other tag team that's on top, and then eventually they're going to keep going and going and going, winning. They're going to win every match, basically, until it's time for them to have a real match, right? That's all AEW does. Every division in AEW is like this, is exactly like the SmackDown tag team division, right? Or even the Raw tag team division. It works the exact same way, but the SmackDown one specifically, right? There's like two teams in the history of SmackDown the last 10 years that have had actual tag team success, right? The Usos and the New Day when they were there, right? That's basically it. And even on Raw, because it was switched back and forth, right? But the Usos are going to be tag team champions for a long time, right? Like, when they win the titles, you know they're going to be champions for a while. And then it's like they'll beat every team, and then eventually they'll wrestle the New Day, and the New Day will beat them. And then the New Day will beat every team, and then eventually they'll wrestle the Usos, the Usos will beat them. So that's what I'm saying. There's no predictability. It's not like in the Attitude Era, where it's like one day, like a new tag team could appear and become tag team champions, and you're like, holy shit, who are these guys, right? Nothing good happens. Nothing, like, no new tag teams are introduced. You know, it's like just look at what's been happening in the tag team divisions in WWE. You know, you have like RK Bro on one hand, and then Nakamura and Rick Boogs on the other hand. You know, these aren't actual tag teams; they're not organic tag teams. But I digress. That's neither here nor there. I don't really give a shit about that. The point is, their AEW run has followed that same format. They have like 2 losses, and it's like to the Young Bucks and like Pentagon and Phoenix. You know, they were all like tag team champions. So it's kind of like that. It doesn't really mean anything. You know, I don't care if like if their records are padded because they beat like Luther and Serpentico like 20 times on AEW Elevation or AEW Dark or whatever, right? Reason 14. People only started liking them when they left WWE. I know there was a little bit of like a push that they had in WWE. People were like, they're finally here from NXT, but it's like, let's be honest, like nobody really gave a damn. But just like everybody else that leaves WWE and goes somewhere else, they got that WWE push, you know? Like you see it now with Isaiah Swerve Scott. There's no reason why this guy should be on TV at all, in my opinion. There's nothing interesting about him. Keith Bearcat Lee, there's nothing interesting about Keith Lee. This guy has no business being on TV as far as I'm concerned. You know, but they're on TV all the time, you know? And other people, like AEW originals, if you will, are not on TV. Because that's how the world works, motherfuckers. But FTR is a perfect example of all these types of people that get this boost and become good magically when they leave WWE. Like, nobody gave a damn about Swerve Strickland when he was in whatever, 205 Live. Nobody gave a damn. All of a sudden, now he's like the big deal. Next up, reason 15. They're injury-prone, motherfuckers. They're injury-prone, which severely limits their potential success. Reason number 16. They haven't had a meaningful feud yet. I don't just mean in AEW. I mean anywhere. Right? They have never had one feud that's been meaningful and relevant to them. You know, every tag team, especially if you want to be considered the best tag team in the world or of all time, you need to have like a memorable feud. You know, I can, off the top of my head, give you like 10 memorable feuds the Dudleys have had, right? But I'm not going to waste your time. I'll just give you a few right now. Dudleys versus Motor City Machine Guns. Dudleys versus Hardys. Dudleys versus TNA. Dudleys versus Edge and Christian. Motherfuckers. Dudleys versus America's Most Wanted. Dudleys versus LAX. All of these are memorable feuds. They have like flag matches, pay-per-views, you know, like all these amazing things that we've seen. You know what I mean? And that's just like the top. I'm not even counting their ECW days. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I got to say about that. So FTR hasn't had any memorable feuds with anybody, right? And I know people are thinking, oh, what about their feud with the Young Bucks? Doesn't count. I'll tell you why in a second, motherfuckers. Reason number 17. They're presented as being considered universally elite. For some reason, like the whole world is supposed to accept that they're universally elite. It's not like other tag teams that are supposed to be the best in the world. Like even CM Punk, you know, people argue about, oh, is CM Punk the best in the world? It's almost like accepted that it's either them or the Young Bucks that are the 2 best tag teams in the world. Why? All they do is wrestle each other, you know? They haven't wrestled the Usos or the New Day, which are obviously the higher level tag teams. I mean, like them or hate them, that is how it is, you know? Next up, reason 18. They're both out of shape. Neither of these guys looks like a world champion or any kind of tag team champion should look like. You know, you compare them to tag teams of the past, and it's okay to be out of shape in a tag team, especially in a tag team. It's completely okay. Like, Dudley Boys were never in shape, but they looked like, and they were, 2 dudes that could beat your ass. Like, it's clear. You know what I'm saying? Like you can look at Bubba Ray and Devon, and you're like, all right, these guys, you don't want to fuck with these guys. They're obviously tough guys. You know? You can tell by the way they talk, by the way they act, by everything, right? They're not these 2 like jabrones, like FTR, who come out wearing skinny jeans, and their gimmick was supposed to be like the Mechanics for a while. It's very odd. It's very strange. I don't really like it. They're both out of shape, and that plus everything else makes them feel less tough. They don't look like 2 guys that can kick your ass. They just don't. You know? Reason 19. They made their name in NXT, motherfuckers. They're an NXT tag team. You cannot be the best tag team in the world if you're an NXT tag team. You know, like 90% of their WWE career was in NXT. 10% was on SmackDown and Raw. They had like maybe like 20 matches total in SmackDown and Raw. Right? They didn't do anything useful there. The only thing I remember was them being like Randy Orton's lackeys. Reason number 20. They are marks for themselves. And I hate marks for themselves. Reason 21. Cornette is a mark for them. I don't know why. Cornette, I think he likes their like old school gimmick, you know, because they come out with like goofy ass music, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But like that's not good enough for me, you know. Cornette likes them for no reason. He likes them because they're not the Young Bucks, you know. But they're not this like psychological tag team or anything like that. They're not. Reason number 22: they were not good enough to be good in WWE. It's as simple as that, you know. Like it's clear. The evidence is right before us. You know, we say in my country, we say there's no need to look for the wolf tracks when the wolf is right in front of you, right? It's as simple as that. If the wolf is right in front of you, you don't need to go looking for its tracks, right? And to me, the evidence is right in front of us. They were not good enough to be good in WWE, just like the Good Brothers, so now they have to settle for AEW. They were good enough for NXT, but that's the problem. A lot of tag teams that go from NXT to WWE are complete failures. They just get fired immediately. The Vaudevillains, the Ascension, right? All these teams are just like, oh, you're not good enough. I'm sorry. Like if they make it in WWE and they're there for like more than a year, they will almost certainly at some point become tag team champions. But if they don't, they almost certainly will not become tag team champions. You know, because there's only 2 tag team titles in the main roster, and they're pretty much held by the Usos and New Day like 24/7. You know, so there you have it. Reason 23, say yeah! That's the dumbest like beginning to a theme song ever. I hate it. And then reason 24, their new entrance theme also sucks. It's like this like 70s type, like almost like disco-y, you know, wrestling, like, you know, synthesizer music. It's garbage. And reason 25, my favorite reason as usual, the dream match, motherfuckers. The dream match between them and Young Bucks. Who the hell decided this was a dream match? You know, I always talk about this, but I feel like I continue to talk about it because it continues to change, right? The concept of a dream match changes all the time, right? And the realities are what the realities are. It's really quite simple. You know, we have the dream matches, and the standards keep changing for the negative. You know, like a few days ago, I was reading an article, and they really referred to Goldust versus CM Punk as a dream match. That's not a dream match. That's a pre-show match. In WWE, that could easily be a pre-show match when CM Punk was starting out. And in fact, I'm sure they wrestled on some throwaway ECW when they were both in ECW. You know what I mean? It's a throwaway match. Nobody cares about it at all. Right? It's really that simple. So you have that problem. And this problem was never explained with respect to FTR and the Young Bucks. Neither of these teams are good enough to even have dream matches. Like, they're not good enough to even be in the possibility of having a dream match, right? Like, another one I hear, they're like, oh, dream match, Daniel Bryan versus Zack Sabre Jr. Nobody knows who Zack Sabre Jr. is. It's not a dream match, you know? Daniel Bryan cannot have a dream match. He's not good enough to be in the dream match category. Like, dream matches are reserved for people like Kurt Angle, Undertaker, Sting, you know what I mean? Triple H, like Orton, Cena. These are dream matches. AJ Styles. You know, not everyone has a dream match. A dream match is not the same thing as a match that you'd like to see one day. You know, I would like to see Jericho versus Dean Ambrose again, but it's not a dream match. Right? Dream match means something else. And I believe that part of the reason why the concept of dream match has permeated the wrestling culture, especially in AEW, is because of FTR and the Young Bucks. So for those reasons, I say that FTR fucking sucks, motherfucker.